Mastermind for Men is a supportive space where men are encouraged to grow into their best selves. We believe every man has a unique purpose and a gift to share with the world. Our dream is that this community acts as a catalyst, helping us unlock our potential and walk confidently in our purpose. Together, let's foster courage and boldness as we become the men we were born to be, making a positive impact on our families, communities, and living lives of purpose. Welcome to Mastermind for Men. Together we are bigger, better, and stronger. Iron sharpens iron.
All right. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Kendrick, and you are live right here on Mastermind for Men. It's that time once again for us to come on here to be sharpened, to be strengthened, and to challenge our way of thinking. And I'm always excited about Mondays because Mondays give me an opportunity to hang out with some gents and just see how we can learn together, grow together, and just enjoy one another's company. Well, as you guys must probably know, if you've been following the past couple of weeks sessions, we've been talking about. A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about gratitude and the importance. Why is it important for us to be aware of, or step into a place of gratitude, regardless of what is happening within our lives. And sometimes, obviously, it's easier said than done, but we have to be intentional about that. And we're talking about, how gratitude will ground you in the present. Gratitude will strengthen your mental resilience. There's a lot of positive things that we spoke about. And I think these things, we have to continue to keep it in front of ourselves because sometimes we get swallowed in by the busyness of life or the challenges that life is throwing at us. And we forget to be grateful. So that's why we are talking about all these different kind of attributes of what it means to be grateful. And what we were attempting to do is to kind of like link it and kind of like just for us to make sure there's some kind of a flow. And last week we were talking about, it's one thing to be grateful, but if we can be grateful, but if we don't have the right perspective on life, if you don't look at things in the way that in a way where you only see the bad, you don't bother to see a different angle when it comes to the challenges that you are going through, the challenges that I'm going through. It is important for us to make sure that we have the right perspective on life. Or even our circumstances. Let me just make sure that that I'm coming through okay on the sound here, because last week we had some challenges with our. Yes, we are okay this week. Last week, my goodness, the challenge from a technical perspective is like, what in the world? If you manage to go back and you looked at last week's session, it's like, does these guys know what they're doing? But we thank God, we managed to get through it. Hopefully some of the guys will join me this evening, but if not, we will be on here for a few minutes and just share a couple of things, and hopefully it will help you on your journey. It will add some value because, listen, the door is open, gentlemen. We will continue to sit and wait for you to come and jump on and join the conversation, because we know that each and every one of us have something valuable to say. Each and every one has come. You got something to bring to the table. It's something that the world is waiting for, because all of us came into this world with a gift. We came in with something special, and if you don't believe that as yet, we would love to convince you. We would love to convince you. So come join us, and we will walk this path together. So what I want to do this evening, I want to continue kind of like bringing gratitude, perspective, and also the third one is intentional action. I want to bring these three together, or rather, let me say, I want us to talk about intentional action. I want us to talk about what it means to not only walk in gratitude or have the right perspective on when it comes to the circumstances that you're finding yourself in, but also have intentional action that you take. Be active in your life. Not just hoping that things will work out because I've been hoping and praying and I've been believing. No, there are certain necessary steps that you and I have to take to make sure that our lives don't end up in a wreck. It doesn't end up in a ditch. And even if it ends up in a ditch, you will be confident enough to believe that you can take certain actions to get yourself out of that ditch. And yeah, so I want us to have a conversation about that. So I want us to talk about the power of ownership. What do I mean by that? It's taking back the driver's seat. Who did you hand the steering wheel to when life started to become a little bit tough? You may not be responsible for everything that's been happening to you, but you and I, we are 100% responsible for what we do next. There's no excuse for us to just say that, oh, this has happened to me, que sera, whatever will be. Because if we find ourselves in a situation where we kind of like just hand over the steering wheel of our lives to chance or to whoever we think is responsible for where we are, then that's not a good place for us to be. Now, why ownership? Why is it that kind of like looking from the previous sessions, which is gratitude and perspective? Why will ownership? Why will the power of ownership? Why will that be the next step? You see, it will remove excuses. That's the first point that I want to highlight. When you say that I'm responsible, I own my issues, I own my problems when it comes to my finances, when it comes to my relationships, I am the one that is responsible for that. Because once you own whatever that is happening to you, it removes excuses. Because you see, gratitude and perspective will stop the spiral. It will stop you from kind of like going all the way to the left, if you like, and spiral out of control. But ownership, when you own your issues, it will put your hand. It's you putting your hands back on the steering wheel and say, all right, where are we going? This is the direction, and you direct your life in that direction, regardless of what's going on, regardless of what has been happening. You own it. So you remove all the excuses. And the second thing, it builds confidence. Yes, it does. It builds confidence because a man gain power when they realize they don't need permission to take action. If you realize that, listen, yeah, I don't need to ask anybody's permission to take certain actions. I don't need to ask. What I'm saying might be a little bit contradictory to what you believe, but at the end of the day, you might ask somebody's opinion, but you don't really need anybody's permission to do what needs to be done. But obviously we are accountable to whoever it is that you brought into your life, whether it is your pastor, where it is people that you are accountable to, in a sense, but yet the only reason why you're really speaking to them is not for them to give you permission, but it's rather for them to give you some form of a perspective from just a point of view from how they see the situation that you are going through. Just a different perspective. That's all it is. Not a permission. And when you realize that I don't have to ask for permission, it builds confidence, and you realize with the help of God, obviously, I can get through this. The next point that I want to highlight is it creates a momentum. You see, usually we get stuck. We don't know how to get things going, because when you seeing clearly, meaning having a different perspective on your situation, means literally if you don't move, it doesn't mean I wanted to use a different word, but let's not go there. It means nothing when you have a different point of view, but if I don't move on what I have some understanding on now, it's just dead. There's nothing there, because ownership will turn clarity into progress. And that's what we're after. We are after action. We are after, all right, what is it that I need to do? What steps do I need to take to move forward? And once I am clear on that, and I gather some kind of courage to move, that's when I only will start seeing some results. You see, the next point, it restores a dignity. I'm going to say it again. When you own your responsibilities, own your life, own and take responsibility of where you are, it will restore dignity. When you take ownership of your choices, your habits, your schedule, your attitudes, you reclaim your power, and you realize, no, regardless of where I end up, I can push out my chest, and I can say, no, I've made that decision, and I take responsibility for that. And it makes you feel powerful, because you were not made by somebody else nobody made you to make you to do that. No, I've made the decision to go down that path. So that will restore your dignity. It drives real change. You see, growth doesn't come from intention. We have all kind of different intentions. We have all like, this is what I intended to do, and no, it comes from intentional flow by execution. We have to say, this is what I'm looking to do. I have a full picture of where I am right now, and I'm prepared to take full responsibility, full proper action on where I am, and deciding where it is that I'm looking to go. You see, it's not that we are looking to wreck our lives. No. Let me kind of like just backtrack to, for example, to ownership, because ownership shifts you from a victim mentality to a leader, because now you are leading your life, isn't it? You're not kind of like dragging yourself because you're feeling like you don't have options. No. You see, when men stop taking ownership, they drift into a passive mindset, and that's what we don't want. You start blaming, avoiding, or even waiting for somebody to show up to save you. No. you can proudly say, I lead my life, I lead my home, and I lead myself. And if I end up in a ditch, I let myself into that ditch. Yes, definitely. And you see, there will be a mental shift from a victim, oh, this always happens to me. No, I've made the decision, and that's why I'm here. And you will start to own it and say, this happens, but I decide what happens next. Can you see the difference? Because it's in a way of thinking. Because when you own it, you you don't um, you don't shift blame. Oh, it's my boss's fault. It's my wife's fault. It's the children. The children messed me up. No, it's me, and I take full responsibility for that. Uh, the next thing on ownership, it will create momentum. Yeah, obviously, no, that's the one we've just done. We said it will create momentum. Uh, the next one is it will clarify identity. You will not be confused about who you are, because when you take ownership, you stop living by default and start living by design. You are very intentional with how you designing your life. You stop asking, who am I supposed to be, and you start declaring, this is who I am, this is who I decided to be. uh, and you don't live life by chance, because you are very clear that this is the direction I'm going in, and you start moving towards that. Because ownership gives you the right to define yourself. It gives you not and that's not based on where you came from, because that's what we usually tend to do. We frame who we are based on where we came from. Well, your history is important, because obviously it adds to you as you kind of like progress through life. But you are not your history, because you can change your behavior over a period of time, or even instantly, change your way of thinking. And obviously that will start reflecting on how you're behaving. But if we get stuck in, oh, this is what I went through, this is who I am, based on maybe you divorced, or maybe you lost your parent, and then you divorced. Maybe you say, oh, I'm a divorcee, or maybe I lost my parents, and you say, oh, I'm an orphan. No, that's not. You don't define. You and I, we don't define our life based on the stuff that we've gone through. No, that does not make us. I can make a decision right here, right now, and I can determine which direction I want my life to go. You see, it's almost like when you feel like you are stuck. It's almost like, brain freeze. Is You don't know what is supposed to be next. uh you kind of like want to move, but if you're not clear on where it is that you're looking to go, you will kind of like hold back. But ownership gives you the right to define yourself. Okay, now, even if I can pose a question to all of us right now, what values are you living by? Does anything and everything go? uh, am I just tolerating uh, stuff that shouldn't be in my life, or do I contest that? Do I fight against it? you know who do I need to become to match where I want to go? Because remember, now it's uh, there's a certain kind of individual that you and I have to become to be able to steward a certain kind of life. I can't just say that this is who I am, this is where I'm going, but I refuse to change. I refuse to step into a different way of doing things, a different way of thinking. I have to change if I want to see my life changing. I can't just take things, just for granted and think I will end up somewhere without putting in the work. No, that's not how it works. We have to make sure that we put in the work, um, because I am responsible for my own life. You are responsible for your own life. Let me just quickly highlight a couple of points that I think, or I hope that it will add some value to you, and will add some value to you and help you on this journey of growth and development, and just improving your life, because um, all of us have a desire to be better next year this time than where we are right now. Um, so what I want to say is replace excuses with responsibility. Um, let's stop making excuses, because we know that life is not easy. We know that life can be challenging. But making excuses does not solve the problem. It does not take care of the issue. Um I have to make a mental shift from being a victim to be a leader. Lead your life. I need to lead my own life, and make sure that I did not hand over the key to somebody else. Okay, build self-respect through follow through. uh, if you say something, do it. I think that's most probably one of the most powerful things that you and I can do is, when we say we are going to do something, we do it. uh, we're not saying it's easy or it's going to be easy, but when you decide this is what I'm going to do, and even though it's hard, you know you still do it. That in itself is powerful, because you are creating your life based on what's coming out of your mouth. Because now whatever that is coming out of my mouth, I follow it through with action. And that's where the work lies, isn't it? We don't just run our mouths. We have to make sure that we can follow up with some action. The next one I want to highlight is take action to create momentum. um, it's not about taking huge, just no, you don't need to take big actions. It's the small things that you and I do on a consistent basis that will help us to make progress, and it will help us to gain momentum. Because for us to kind of like change direction, we must be in motion, because it's hard to change direction if there's no motion involved. So do take the first step. Take action that will create momentum, and then we can go from there. The next one is forge identity through intentional ownership. It's just about being intentional, and not putting the power in your power in somebody else's hands. No. Because sometimes we are creatures of habit, and if we are so used to pushing blame on somebody else, just by default, if something goes wrong, and then you're thinking, oh, who can I blame? But that doesn't always work. We should get out of that kind of thinking, because that we want to forge our identity based on intentional actions that we are taking, and owning our lives, owning our issues. Yes, I said it. You and I have to make sure we own our own issues without having to shift it or push it onto anybody else. Okay, gentlemen, I hope this was helpful. I hope that it kind of like will help you on your journey. So remember that your life is a vehicle. Others can ride with it, but only you alone can drive it. Okay. Either you are at the wheel or you are the passenger. You either make your own story or your story is being written by somebody else. And we are not saying that because we are at a place of being proud or no. Just think about it. We came into this world not to kind of like be just in the background and no, write your own story. We're not saying write your own series. You know, your story can be a series, or your story can be one chapter. You know, is in terms of a lifetime. But as long as you are the one that is writing it, you are the one that said no. It ended up this way because I chose for it to end up in this way, instead of just allowing stuff to happen to us and we are not even you're not even in control. And control anyway is a myth, isn't it? Because we're not really in control of anything, to be honest. But when we intentionally make decisions and you know that, hey, that's what I've decided to do, that it's not like somebody else has pushed me in that direction. It's kind of like we said earlier, it gives you that dignity that I didn't just end up here being a victim. I played a part in this whole story because I'm the main character. All right. So have an amazing week, and remember, just small little actions every day, small little actions that causes you to come out of your comfort zone. You know, because to take ownership of my choices, my time, my energy, my growth, not waiting for perfect conditions. No, I just make a decision to move forward from here. When you have that kind of thinking, it really makes you, it boosts you, it gives you the momentum to continue moving forward within your life. All right. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for listening to the replay. Appreciate you guys, and yeah, we continue to meet here every week without fail, unless it's under circumstances that is a little bit out of our control. But we try our best to be on here every week, and thank you so much for your support and just for being here. And yeah, have an amazing week, and remember to love on your families, and go out there and be victorious. All right. See you guys soon, and remember, growth is your responsibility. I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye now. Bye.